Alright, welcome to the Gen Z Childhood Trauma Iceberg Fully Explained. This video will be every single entry, every single episode of this series, all in one. I had to make a couple changes because part 3 originally got age restricted, so if that's a little different, then that's why. I'd also like to add that, well, there were a couple entries that I missed in the original videos, and those will be here now, so if you already saw them, you might as well rewatch and find them. As always, if you're a younger kid, then I'd recommend that you should click off of this video since, of course, we get into some creepy subject matter and I don't want to freak you out. So this is it. I'd recommend that you should turn the lights down, grab a snack, and chill out because this is going to be almost like a movie. So, yeah. Starting off at the top of the iceberg, we have William Afton's corpse. William Afton's corpse can be seen inside the Springtrap character in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. This is always a grisly sight since you could see his flesh and teeth through the robot. FNAF jump scares. This one is very self-explanatory. This is simply referring to the jump scares in the Five Nights at Freddy's games. Agamemnon counterpart. This video is a strange one to say the least. It starts off saying in the year 2571, a videocassette tape was found in a pile of rubble on a certain blue planet. What you're about to witness will not be the contents of the aforementioned cassette. This is an entirely different recording. It proceeds to show what looks like some sort of demonic kid show with intense screaming in the background. If you want to learn more, Scare Theater made a pretty good video about it. Giga Bowser. In Super Smash Bros. Melee, at the end of the adventure mode, Bowser transforms into Giga Bowser, which is a lot scarier than the normal Bowser. Giga Bowser returns in every Smash game since as Bowser's final smash. Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 had you play as a little kid protecting himself from nightmare robots in his house that were trying to kill him. This game also features the infamous bite of 1983. Sabrina. Sabrina was a character in the original Pokemon anime that trapped the main characters in a giant dollhouse. She was seen having mystical powers and had a creepy appearance. Minecraft mobs. While not the most scary nowadays, way back when we were all little kids, the Minecraft mobs were a bit creepy. The ones that freaked me out the most were the zombies, zombie villagers, and of course the ghast. Their screeches were just terrible. Creepypasta. This one's very broad and is just talking about the general idea of creepypasta. Whether it be Candle Cove, Happy Appy, Slenderman, Sonic.exe, or any of the other classic creepypastas, there was probably at least one that freaked you out as a kid. Luigi's Mansion Beta Game Over. The beta of Luigi's Mansion is something that has a legendary status on the internet. Little footage have been seen from it, and the creepypastas and fan theories portray the game to be really creepy. A scene from an old trailer of the game portrays a depressed zombie-like Luigi standing outside the mansion. Many people thought that this was the original Game Over screen. Vulgar Mario sprite animations. This entry is referring to the plethora of Mario sprite animations that were not meant for kids, including one that's coming up later on this list. Haunted Gaming. This entry refers to the creepypasta series Haunted Gaming, made by Mutahar of Some Ordinary Gamers. As a kid, I thought that Some Ordinary Gamers created all creepypastas that they read, leading me to dislike the channel and Mutahar as a whole. Scary Car Commercial. This is a classic. This video is a commercial for an energy coffee drink. The point of the commercial was to scare the viewer to get their heart pumping, like as if they would have drank this coffee drink. The first upload of it on YouTube tells you to watch the car carefully and listen to the audio, only for a zombie to pop out. Inflation scenes. This entry is referring to the scenes in media where a character's body gets inflated. Not much more than that. K4ia Vor Animations. K4ia was a YouTube channel who would release animations of cartoon characters eating each other whole. The videos got way more views than they deserved, both from innocent kids just clicking a video with a familiar character that had a weird thumbnail, to people who were into that kind of thing. Later down the line, lots of kids who watched these videos developed vor fetishes. Spanish MS Paint SpongeBob animations. This refers to many weird and sometimes creepy Microsoft Paint animations of SpongeBob that were usually made by Spanish-speaking people. Scary Maze Game. The Scary Maze game lives on in infamy as something that we all got scared by or scared someone with. The game presents as a simple brain test as just a maze. You go through some pretty easy mazes until you reach a difficult area. Halfway through it, the face of the girl from The Exorcist shows up and a loud scream plays. Good stuff. Zim harvests his peers inside him. This refers to the episode Dark Harvest from the Nickelodeon show Invader Zim. The show was already on the darker side, which is why you always see emo girls wearing Hot Topic brand shirts in the show, but this episode was darker than the rest. In this episode, Zim harvests his classmates' organs, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Scar's death. This entry refers to the death of Scar, the antagonist of The Lion King. It's a pretty violent scene in an otherwise kid-friendly movie. Sailor Moon villains. The villains of Sailor Moon had some creepy moments, but weren't overall that bad in my opinion. But if you were a little kid seeing some of the creepier moments these characters had, I can see how that could stick with you. Ouija. Oh man. You had to be there. Ouija was a huge meme in the YouTube poop community. The original Ouija is from the PC port of Mario is Missing. This sprite of Luigi was spread all over the internet and nicknamed Ouija for its creepy appearance. However, what really made him creepy was the Ouija virus. Ouija! If you got the Ouija virus, then your head would turn into Ouijas. There was also a Ouija computer virus, which scared me out of downloading free arcade games from the internet. Missing No. Missing No was a glitch Pokemon in the original Pokemon game. It had a glitched appearance and an overall mysterious and creepy vibe, which was incredibly creepy for some younger kids learning about it. SpongeBob close-ups. Remember those scenes in SpongeBob where they would zoom in on a character and have a very gross/grotesque version of that character or thing? Well, as a little kid, that stuff was creepy. Imagine being like 3 years old and seeing this. Herobrine. Herobrine was the #1 boogeyman of early Gen Z kids. The story goes that someone playing Minecraft saw a strange figure with a default skin and no eyes. The player posted it on the Minecraft forums, but it got deleted. He later emailed Notch, the creator of Minecraft, asking if he had a brother. Notch responds with, "I used to, but he is no longer with us." Many kids fell for this, and there was a whole ton of fake Herobrine videos, including this one, which I made when I was 9. Chef gets boiled alive ad. This was a public service announcement that aired on some children television networks. It featured a chef talking to the camera as if it's an interview. She picks up a pot full of boiling oil and then slips, leading the oil to fall on her skin. She screams and it shows a shot of her face with the skin peeling off. Yeah, this scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid. Let's move on. I Feel Fantastic. I Feel Fantastic is a famous creepy video about an android woman singing about feeling fantastic. For some, this is incredibly disturbing. Others think it's funny, and others are in the middle. That's where I find myself. The video has a made-up backstory saying that the video creator is a serial killer. He wishes that his victims would say that they felt fantastic as he was killing them. The story also goes that the clothes on the robot are the clothes of the victims. The shot of the backyard is where they were buried. This is not true, but it is a fun creepypasta. Tom Goes to Hell. The old Tom and Jerry cartoons were really a product of their time. The unending cartoon violence wouldn't really fit today, but that's just cartoon violence, nothing genuinely scary, except for the time that Tom went to hell. There are a couple scenes of the devil torturing Tom, and the imagery of this cartoon is, well, pretty creepy. That would definitely scare any kid who didn't know what was going on. Ao Oni Ao Oni. This is a freeware role-playing horror video game. The game features puzzle and RPG elements that revolve around a boy named Hiroshi who is trapped with his friends in a haunted mansion and stalked by a monster. This game was played by big YouTubers such as PewDiePie and Markiplier. Said YouTubers have a large audience of kids, so it makes sense that kids would be scared by this and the nightmarish imagery in the game. DNA Productions. DNA Productions is the studio behind Jimmy Neutron. I think this entry on the Iceberg refers to the logo with a short animation of a three-eyed monkey saying,
Hi, I'm Paul.
You can see how this could totally scare kids who were just watching cartoons on Nick. The Shrexorcist. Shrexorcist is a parody of The Exorcist on the Halloween special showcase Scared Shrekless. The Shrexorcist sees Shrek trying to exorcise Pinocchio as he was supposedly possessed. Turns out it's just Jiminy Cricket inside his head. Pinocchio proceeds to crush Jiminy Cricket. Clearly, this could be really creepy to kids just wanting to watch some funny Shrek shorts, but in my opinion, the short with Gingy and his evil girlfriend is way creepier than Shrexorcist. Bambi's mom is killed. If you ever watched Bambi as a kid, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sonic CD Fun is Infinite. This was a hidden screen that could be accessed by entering a code in the Sonic CD sound test screen. This features these demonic Sonic faces and a Japanese text that reads, "The fun is infinite." The screen is pretty infamous online in the early 2010s. Maynard's elevator ad. This is a Canadian commercial for Maynard's wine gums. It features the head of a moose hypnotizing a man into walking into an elevator and eating wine gums. You can totally see how this would freak out any kids unfortunate enough to see it. The wormy close-up. This is referring to a close-up of SpongeBob and Patrick's pet butterfly, Wormy. Close-up is just footage of a butterfly close up, but it has a weird buzzing noise in the background and makes it pretty creepy. Mr. Creepypasta FNAF audios. These were videos portraying shows at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and other notable events in the FNAF timeline, such as the Bite of 87. These videos were out before FNAF was as big as it is today. These videos were beloved by the fandom, including me when I was 10 years old. One missed call. What will it sound like when you die? In one missed call, a chain of people receive terrifying phone messages of their own fatal moments. Though the messages can be deleted, their number is up. Reads the movie synopsis. Yeah, I would not want to watch this or its trailers as a kid either. Max Sugar Rush. Max Sugar Rush was a thing that would happen in the show Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. The main character, Mac, eats sugar and then goes crazy, acts like a junkie. Clearly, this is disturbing to younger kids. 3 Lame Studios. This is a YouTube channel that would produce terrible, cheap animations featuring characters that were famous at the time, i.e. Angry Birds, Undertale, Minecraft, Five Nights at Freddy's, etc. If you're a viewer of Oni Plays, then it's likely that you've heard a couple references to this bizarre YouTube channel. Adult Clay Animations. This is kind of a broad one, but I feel like it's mostly referring to Simpsons Couch Gag Part 1, You're Next, by League Hardcastle. Lots of kids clicked on this video because of the innocent-looking thumbnail. I was one of those kids. This is a really, really disturbing animation featuring Bart Simpson's bullies breaking into the Simpson house and brutally murdering everyone until Marge gets revenge, killing the bullies, only to bleed out. This animation is really well done, but incredibly disturbing, and definitely something that most early Gen Z kids would remember. It, 1990. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Seeing it, or scenes from it as a kid, is a great source of childhood trauma. Blizzetta Boss Battle. In The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, the boss battle Blizzetta had a creepy rotating face that would definitely scare a kid. Freddy Fazbear's Laugh. Freddy Fazbear's laugh is that of a little girl's, only slowed down. You hear it when Freddy moves around in the original Five Nights at Freddy's game. This would lead it to get stuck in people's heads and freak them out. Judge Doom's Reveal. Judge Doom is the antagonist in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He is creepy as hell. He's a half-human, half-cartoon hybrid who can be crushed by a steamroller and blow himself back up. I would not want to see this guy in my dreams. SuicideMouse.avi. This is a creepypasta about a lost Mickey Mouse cartoon that caused people to go crazy. There's some portrayals of it on YouTube which were very scary to me and many other kids of my age. Scottish anti-drug photograph ad. This was a commercial aired in Scotland by the name of Photograph. It shows a photo of a woman smiling that slowly shows the effects of hard drugs on the body. Her face gets super messed up, and it starts displaying other faces that start to morph and distort. Very creepy stuff. Shy Guy Unmasked. Ever wonder what the Shy Guy from Super Mario looked like without the mask? I sure did. This entry could be referring to some creepy art of the Shy Guy maskless, but it's most likely referring to the Shy Guy ghosts in Luigi's Mansion. You can suck the masks right off these ghosts and reveal their faces. Honestly, they aren't all that scary to me, but I can see how a younger kid might be scared by it. Violet turns into a blueberry. This is obviously referring to both Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory and Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I can totally see a kid being scared of this scene and the existential horror it provides. What scared me most about this scene is that Willy Wonka mentions Oompa Loompa who turned into a blueberry. Said Oompa Loompa is never seen in the movies, so I always thought he just died. Coco from Animal Crossing. I mean, just look at this thing. That's creepy. Scared Shrekless. The Shrexorcist, which was that earlier entry on this Iceberg, was from this special. Scared Shrekless has a ton of scary moments, everything from the abandoned Duloc, the creepy play song, and of course the stories the characters tell. The one that Puss and Donkey tell always scared me as a kid. Mario Gets Possessed. Mario Gets Possessed is one of those old Mario plush videos made by kids. In this video, the Mario plush gets possessed by a boo, and the kids put paper on his eyes to portray it. This video is not scary nowadays, but I can see how a little kid could be scared by it. Shallow Waters. Peppa Pig and the Bacon. Peppa Pig and the Bacon is a Spanish animation featuring Peppa Pig tasting bacon and becoming obsessed with it. She ends up eating her father and eventually turning the whole Peppa Pig family into bacon. The animation was pretty similar to the actual show, so many kids watched the video and were traumatized by it, including me. Tarzan Whammy. On the game show Whammy, you could spin a wheel and get a bad result. Said bad result was Tarzan, a creepy little devil man who would have to splat against the screen or hit an elephant. Mr. Davy's MLP Animations. Mr. Davy was a YouTuber with an animation style that was basically indistinguishable from the actual My Little Pony show. His animations, such as Smile HD, Derpy Gets Pranked, and Cupcakes were incredibly violent and disturbing. I do not suggest looking them up after this. I'm gonna say do not research. SpongeBob and Patrick's. SpongeBob is the old internet name for disturbing SpongeBob art. Patrick's is this creepy rendition of a super realistic Patrick. They're both creepy as hell and certainly terrified lots of kids. Violin Girl Jump Scare. This entry is referring to a scene in Courage the Cowardly Dog. This scene is straight up scary with the uncanny stop motion animation and the loud sound. Jeff Dunham's Puppets. Jeff Dunham is a comedian that uses puppets for his shows. His most famous character, Ahmed, is a dead terrorist. And he was definitely very creepy to a lot of kids growing up. Morbid PSAs. Like the Chef Boiling entry from earlier, morbid, scary PSAs were pretty prevalent in the 2000s. Many of these disturbed kids since for whatever reason they would air on child-friendly channels sometimes. Zombie Avengers. Zombie Avengers is an old YouTube animation featuring the Avengers as zombies. This video has a comedic tone, but the imagery would be creepy if you saw it as a kid. Arnold's Nightmare. This entry is most likely referring to the scene in Hey Arnold, where Arnold falls asleep and sees him and his friend Gerald as very old men on the bus. It then pans over to Arnold's grandpa, who looks terrifying as his jaw proceeds to fall off. Jason Voorhees Unmasked. I mean, just look at this guy, that's super creepy. There are multiple different varieties, but this Toxic Avenger looking one is probably the worst. Arnold's head freezes in space. This is referring to that one episode of the Magic School Bus where they go to space. Arnold gets upset, and then this happens. Yo! Unsettling Simpsons scene/parodies. This could be anything from Treehouse of Horror to that scene where Homer's face melts off. There are quite a few unsettling scenes in The Simpsons. Jimmy Neutron Happy Family Happy Hour. Jimmy Neutron Happy Family Happy Hour is a YouTube animation created by Seinfeld Spitstain. I would suggest watching it for yourself. This video is iconic. It's so quotable that me and my friends still quote it to this day. The creepiness adds so much to the video and I highly recommend it. M is Bad. M is Bad is one of those classic Mario sprite animations. It takes a very twisted turn and I will not describe the events of said video in this video. Luituma Onion Smash. This video is a parody of the classic Ivan Polka video. In this video, the woman's hand gets twisted as she spins the leak. It then reaches its peak and spins back, hitting her in the face. She's then beat up, and the song plays in slow motion. I don't know what it is about this video specifically, but it's just disturbing, even to this day. McDonald's Nose ad. This ad is just weird. It starts off with a man smiling. It starts to pan and pan and pan, while creepy music plays in the background. It then shows that his nose is connected to another man's nose when an alarm clock starts ringing and it tells you to buy McDonald's coffee. What the Freddy Krueger kills? This entry is pretty self-explanatory. Freddy Krueger has some pretty gruesome kills. Frybo. This entry is referring to an episode of Steven Universe where a fast food mascot comes to life and becomes evil. Pretty creepy. Humpty Dumpty Kinder ad. I always loved this video as a kid, so I'm just gonna play it here and let you make up your own mind.
Chock-a-doobie! Doubly chock-a-doobie! Pop swabble! Toy! Yodel yum and choco scrum with multi-pop swabble dies! Oh, grubbly! Me scrooble now! Snuggle! Whee!
Kinder Surprise from Ferrero.
Mario ROM. This is a classic creepypasta about a ROM someone downloaded of Super Mario World. The game is simply titled Mario. Eventually, the OP finds this creepy picture. The ROM is actually real and not just a story. Jason Voorhees kills. This is referring to all the kills from the Friday the 13th horror movie series. Not much else to say except for you probably shouldn't watch Friday the 13th as a kid. DeviantArt. Whether you browse the website yourself or you watch Solar Sands look at cringe, you probably remember seeing some really weird, mostly furry/fetish related stuff on DeviantArt. And you probably wish you didn't see it. Flapjack Cat. In the show Marvelous Adventures of Flapjack, there is an evil cat with this terrifying face. That show was weird. Syriac. Syriac is a YouTube channel who's been making these incredibly strange and disturbing YouTube videos for years. His videos definitely scared me and many others as a kid. Not Without My Handbag. This is incredibly strange and dark stop motion made by Aardman Animations, the people who made Wallace and Gromit. In this animation, a dead aunt refuses to go to hell without her handbag. I know if I saw this as a kid, I would be terrified. Let Me Hear Your War Cry. Let Me Hear Your War Cry is an edited scene from the movie Full Metal Jacket. In this video, the soldiers' faces are replaced with these disturbing mannequin things as they scream creepy high-pitched screams. I never watched this video as a kid, but I always saw the thumbnail and it freaked me out. The Scarecrow's Hallucinations. The Scarecrow in the Dark Knight movie makes people hallucinate, and it's pretty creepy. Not much more than that. Call of Duty. Call of Duty should not be played by kids, but it is. By a lot of kids, especially back in the 2000s. There was a lot of both violent and scary content in these games, so it's no wonder it's on the list. Shay St. John. Shay St. John is a YouTube channel that is, well, weird. At the time, I and many others found these videos very creepy and uncanny, but nowadays they are strangely funny. They're still very uncanny and creepy, but somehow have a weird kind of shitpost aura to them. The story behind the person who made the channel is pretty interesting, and unfortunately, they passed away. Scare Theater has a good video on it, which you should watch if you are interested to learn more. James Cody's Splatter. This is a weird, low-budget parody of the Looney Tunes, where all the characters are being killed and there is blood. Nowadays, it's kind of funny how low budget it looks. I can imagine this scaring the hell out of kids. Michael Jackson Ghost Footage. I assume this is referring to this Syriac video. It's pretty funny, but I can see being scared by it as a kid. Woody's Nightmare. Woody's Nightmare could be referring to two things. Either the classic "I don't want to play with you anymore" dream, or a deleted scene from Toy Story named Woody's Nightmare, which was only storyboarded and never animated, but it was on some special featured DVDs. The deleted scene was totally creepy and freaked me out as a kid. Final Destination Deaths. Final Destination is a film series all about killing off characters in crazy ways. Many kids saw scenes from these movies and became terrified of roller coasters, flying, elevators, etc. King Boo. King Boo is from the Super Mario Bros. Games, and he is the main bad guy in Luigi's Mansion. His design isn't outright scary, but he does have a menacing aura about him. I can see how King Boo could have scared kids back in the days. Most brutal metal scream. This video is a clip from the music video of the song Dig by the band Mudvayne. Instead of screaming like you would expect the clown-faced man to, instead the audio is replaced by a low-effort, quiet, noise. The punchline itself isn't scary, but the music video itself is pretty uncomfortable to look at, and I know that it creeps me out as a kid. Eerie Nickelodeon ads. I think this is referring to those weird and creepy Nickelodeon bumpers. It might also be referring to weird commercials that aired on Nickelodeon. I'm not completely sure. Sims 2, I ate my baby for dinner. Oh god, I remember this video. The title implies what the video was about. In The Sims 2, you could eat your baby. Yeah. Someone made a video with text portraying a story about this woman eating her baby. Weird stuff. Definitely disturbed me as a kid. Ghost Girl. Just check this out.
What's that? Up there! I told you! Sit on! I told you I seen something! Quickly! No! I bet no, I'm telling you now. Up there! See? What'd I say? Oh my god! What'd I say? It's gone! No, shush. No. No!
Yeah, it's still pretty creepy to this day. Lavender Town. The Lavender Town Syndrome is a classic urban legend about the original Japanese Pokemon Red and Blue games. The story goes that the Pokemon Cemetery area Lavender Town had a soundtrack that used high-frequency beats which messed with the minds of many young Japanese kids, leading to intense headaches and suicidal thoughts. This story is one of the biggest online urban legends out there, and with many people believing in it. When I was a kid, I was infatuated with this legend, trying to figure out whether or not it was true. Being a kid, I thought that since I was in the age range of the kids in the story, that I could decipher the mystery of the song. Obviously, it sounds the same to me as it did in 2013. Still a legendary story that 100% deserves a spot on the Iceberg. Rainbow Factory. This is a classic My Little Pony creepypasta and music video about the in-show Rainbow Factory using the blood of ponies to create rainbows. This was huge in the brony community among the teens and adults, but the kids weren't as thrilled about it. Rasputin's death. I'm pretty sure this is referring to the animated film Anastasia. The antagonist Rasputin has a very brutal death scene in which would totally scare any kid unfortunate enough to see it. Tree Trunk's death. This is referring to a scene from Adventure Time, where a little elephant creature takes a bite of a glass fruit and proceeds to explode. Lots of comments on uploads of this scene talk about how it made them cry as kids. I can see why. Finn's Guardian Angel. Finn's Guardian Angel is this creepy-ass character from Adventure Time. At first, it's nice and comforting, but then morphs into a crazy-looking zombie face, and proceeds to try and cook Finn. Pretty creepy. GTA San Andreas Bigfoot plus UFO video. This is a classic and iconic YouTube video showing footage of Bigfoot in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. After some footage of Bigfoot is shown, later it shows a giant glowing orb in the sky. This video is super nostalgic to lots of people, and it's a legendary video on the internet. OMG, Amazing Dancer. This entry is referring to a classic Screamer video showing footage of a little girl dancing while calm piano music plays. Eventually, the scary figure appears, screaming very loudly, and yeah, it's pretty scary. Cute Things Exploding. Cute Things Exploding was a YouTube channel who would make videos of cute things exploding in gory ways. I know that if I saw this as a kid, it would have really bothered me. Makes sense it's on the Iceberg. Billy Reverses History. I can't find something on this. It might be referring to the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy, but I'm not sure. Close to the bottom of the iceberg. Zim and Dib become baloney. This entry is referring to an episode of Invader Zim where Zim and Dib become baloney meat. That's about it. Bill Cipher. Bill Cipher was the main villain of the cartoon show Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls itself was pretty dark in terms of stuff airing on Disney XD, but Bill Cipher himself was definitely one of the creepiest things. He would constantly transform into scary forms and faces. He's now one of the most iconic cartoon villains of all time. Burger and Fries the Cat. This is a video of a cat in a cage screaming at the person recording. The cat's scream is strangely human, and eventually the cat strikes at the person. Magician decapitates wife. This entry is referring to an old shock video portraying a magician accidentally cutting the head of his wife off. The general consensus about the video is that it's fake, but it's really realistic. Seeing this video as a kid would be terrible. The exploding tiger trick. This is a PSA about keeping tigers alive in India. They really get the message across by putting a tiger in a box and proceeding to stab swords into the box. The box then opens up, full of blood, and the message, "Tell the Indian government you don't want the tiger to disappear." Rake sightings. The rake is a classic creepypasta creature. This entry is most likely referring to these pictures on screen now. This creature would hide in the woods and kill people it came into contact with. Back in the day, this story was huge and scared me and many other kids. Cupcakes. Cupcakes was a My Little Pony creepypasta about how Pinkie Pie makes her iconic cupcakes by killing ponies. Earlier in the Iceberg, I mentioned Mr. Davies' MLP animations. This was one of them. Like his other animations, this is brutal and disturbing. When I was a kid, the story itself terrified me and kept me up at night. And I imagine it did the same to many, many others. Gory Super Mario Logan videos. I'm assuming this refers to episodes of Super Mario Logan that had a dark twist. But I'm not gonna watch Super Mario Logan to find clips because I'm not a small annoying child. Suicide Mouse. Suicide Mouse.avi was a creepypasta about a lost episode of Mickey Mouse. This entry was in the Iceberg earlier. I think the writer of it might have just made a mistake and put it in twice. Username 666. This is another iconic creepy video / creepypasta on the internet. The video is made by Nana825763 and features the user entering www.youtube.com/666 and repeatedly refreshing the page. It slowly turns into a creepy hell world with a cursed channel and blood, gore, and just generally scary stuff. Turns out 666 was actually a YouTube channel at some point, but the account was deleted, which just adds to the video's creepiness. A creepypasta was written to capitalize off the fame of the original video, and of course, the creepypasta blew up as well. Samurai Jack Haunted House. Pretty self-explanatory. Jack goes into a haunted house and creepy things happen. Happy Tree Friends. This was an animated web series that looked like a cute, innocent kid show. The colorful, friendly art style led many kids to click on the videos. Unfortunately, this show was not how it seemed. The show was incredibly bloody and violent. Me and many other kids were unfortunate enough to watch these videos and were promptly disturbed. Luna Game. Luna Game was a creepy flash game that showed up on Equestria Daily, a My Little Pony forum. The game featured you playing as the titular character Luna, aka Nightmare Moon. The game itself isn't all that advanced, but it's what it does to your computer that makes things scary. The game will eventually spook you with a jump scare of a creepy pony and install some screenshots of the game onto your computer. Yeah, this is disturbing. SpongeBob Face Freeze. This was an infamous episode of SpongeBob SquarePants in which SpongeBob and Patrick make these overly detailed, grotesque faces. Mr. Krabs warns them that if they continue to make those faces, they will freeze that way. SpongeBob and Patrick ignore this and continue to make said faces. Eventually they all freeze that way, leading to this creepy scene. I remember seeing screenshots from this episode and SpongeBob pictures that always seem to freak me out. The Dawn is Your Enemy. The Dawn is Your Enemy is a creepy bumper that would play late at night in Adult Swim. This bumper is incredibly creepy, and I can't imagine how terrifying it would be to be a kid who wasn't supposed to be watching Adult Swim seeing this late at night with all the lights off. Scary stuff. Cell absorbs. Cell is a character in the anime/manga Dragon Ball. He absorbs people in a creepy way that some people find hot, I think. It seems like it's a weird fetish art genre where people draw characters being absorbed by this character. Yeah, I don't get it. Leela's coma. This entry is referring to an episode of Futurama where Leela gets stung by a bee and gets sent into a coma. While in said coma, creepy and disturbing things happen. I'm not Patrick. I'm just gonna play the video.
Patrick, what are you doing here?
Yeah. I'm not Tommy/Stu. Again, I'm just gonna play the video.
What's going on, Tommy? I'm not Tommy.
Stu, I didn't know you were coming over.
I'm not Stu.
31 flavors. This entry is probably referring to the song by Sacred Reich, which has a creepy album cover, and the song also features some screaming and cursing. I'm not really sure why it's this far down on the iceberg. Leatherface. Leatherface is the bad guy from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. He's pretty scary. Not much else. There is Nothing. There is Nothing is a classic creepy YouTube video featuring a woman sitting at a table with a spoon with fire in the background. She speaks in reverse, and then her face falls into the bowl. And then the video plays itself again in reverse. Turns out what the woman is saying is, there is nothing. I could not watch this full video as a kid. I found it incredibly disturbing. Demonic Baby. This entry is probably referring to the devil baby prank, where a woman would walk around with a stroller, and an evil baby animatronic would pop out and scare people walking by. The Ring and The Grudge. These two movies are about people watching haunted tapes and then being killed later by demons who possess the tapes. These movies are often compared and are both very creepy. Val. I can't even explain this video. Just watch it for yourself. It's really creepy and unsettling. Dark animation memes. This entry is likely referring to animation memes, which are basically a trend where you loop a simple animation to the rhythm of a song. There are many of these with gore or dealing with dark topics such as depression, gore, murder, etc. Evil Dead 2 laughing scene. This entry is referring to a scene in Evil Dead 2 where the character Ash starts to go crazy and sees everything in the room laughing. Most scarily, a deer head starts laughing. Bottom of the Ice. Weird PlayStation and Xbox ads. This entry is referring to those weirdo early 2000s marketing campaigns that had nothing to do with video games or advertising consoles. The most iconic one of these is this creepy baby one. Dan Howell's Halloween livestream. Dan Howell is a YouTuber, mostly known as Dan from Dan and Phil. He did a Halloween livestream where it starts off with his face covered with a picture of a printed out woman. I don't know, it's weird. I can see how this can be kind of creepy. B&D logo. B&D was an old Russian television network. Their logo is... yeah. Slenderman. Slenderman is probably one of the most iconic creepypasta characters of all time. If you don't know, this is the original picture. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. I was personally pretty creeped out by Slenderman back in the day, but one of my closest friends at the time was terrified of the guy. He would play Stop It Slender on Roblox and proceed to not sleep for the following night. Classic stuff. Mexican Doll Tree. I'm pretty sure this entry is referring to the Isle of Dolls, an island in Mexico filled with dolls hanging from trees. The story goes that the man who lived on that island saw a girl's corpse come onto shore. She had a doll with her that he hung up as a memorial for the girl. Creepy paranormal things started happening on the island, so the man thought that the one doll wasn't enough. He would travel out of town in search of abandoned dolls. Nowadays, it's a bit of a tourist attraction, with many people saying it's one of the most haunted places in the world. People still bring dolls to the island and tour it frequently. Elmo Eats a Baby. Elmo Eats a Baby is this crazy little animation on YouTube. Nowadays, it's not scary, but back then it was totally scary. Goosebumps. Goosebumps is a classic horror book series created by R.L. Stine. The books are for kids, so it's nothing too bad, but as a kid, these books and TV shows were really creepy. The one that freaked me out the most was The Mask. Goosebumps is still a thing in the current day, with 2 movies featuring Jack Black, so maybe the next generation will be able to relate to being scared to this as well. Unedited footage of a bear. I'm gonna read the TV Tropes entry for this. Unedited footage of a bear is a 2014 short created by Alan Resnick and Wham City Comedy that aired as an infomercial on Adult Swim. The short is exactly what you expect it to be. Well, at first. The short does start with footage of a grizzly bear while the cameraman comments on the size of the bear's ears. However, the short is interrupted by a commercial for a fictional drug called Claridyl. Donna, the main protagonist, tells the audience about how much better her life is after she started taking the medication. As the short draws on, it quickly becomes clear that something is very wrong. What results is a downward spiral into madness, anxiety, and much more. Het. Oh, I remember this one. Het is referring to a video by Vinesauce Joel where he plays a bunch of knockoff games. He plays a Russian Felix the Cat game and he loses his lives and sees a continue screen. He decides to press Het. This is the game over screen that proceeds. Terrible, I know. Disturbing music videos. This entry says it all. Lots of music videos are very disturbing. The Undertaker kidnaps Teddy Long. This is referring to a scene from WWE where The Undertaker tricks Teddy Long, a referee, manager, and authority figure of WWE. In this scene, The Undertaker tricks him into going into his limo. When inside, The Undertaker says, "Buckle up, Teddy." The back of the car closes and then fills up with fog. Teddy struggles and screams as lightning sounds and lights play. Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer is one of the most iconic creepypasta characters of all time. The story itself is pretty bad, and I don't mean bad as in like bad as in oh it was scary, but bad as in poorly written. But the picture to go along with it is still pretty frightening. The image and story would keep me up at night pretty frequently. Pico School. Pico School was an old flash game on Newgrounds where you played as a boy trying to survive an attacker in school. This game is beyond messed up. Dane Bowe's Scariest Face Vid. Dane Bowe is the creator of the classic web series turned TV show Annoying Orange. He made a bunch of really cool videos back in the day showing off his special effects. Scariest Faces was a series on his channel where normal people are sitting around talking until one of them challenges to make the scariest face they can. Their faces then transform into crazy looking monster faces. These effects are done with Dane Bowe's iconic special effects at the time. I remember this creeping me out back when I was like 8 or 9. Ponce's Death, Clone High. This is referring to a scene in Clone High where John F. Kennedy and Ponce de Leon are arguing and littering. Ponce is warned that everyone is littering because they look up to him. He doesn't care but proceeds to get instant karma with a bunch of garbage blowing on him, killing him. The scene is pretty graphic and I totally see this traumatizing a kid. Bad Baby, Newgrounds. Bad Baby was an old Newgrounds animation that was just straight twisted. I'm not going to show footage of the video since it's really violent and I don't think you, the viewer, or YouTube would appreciate it. Ed, Edd and Eddy Lost Episode. This is referring to an old lost episode about Ed, Edd and Eddy. Like most creepypastas at the time, the story had a creepy video to go along with it. But just like the rest, it was just Photoshop screenshots with VHS effects. Jack, a story from the past. This is an old YouTube animation made by Amazing Phil about a boy with 84 arms. He was bullied and made fun of for having so many arms that he decided to jump off a mountain. All of his hands are amputated, leading him to be known as the Octopus Boy. Yeah, it's kind of sad to be honest. Smile.jpg. Smile.jpg is a creepypasta about this picture. Apparently, it makes people go crazy and all that stuff. Classic creepypasta stuff. The pictures themselves are actually pretty creepy and definitely made me check behind the shower curtains a few times back in the day. Ren and Stimpy Adult Party Cartoon. This was an adult-oriented reboot of the classic Nickelodeon show Ren and Stimpy. Adult Party Cartoon tried to be as disgusting and disturbing as it could be. The overall reception of the show is negative given the graphic content in it. The creator of Ren and Stimpy is a terrible person and a child predator. He was in control of this show. Seeing episodes of this among the original kid-friendly show was really disturbing. Little Baby's Ice Cream. Oh, I love this one! This was an incredibly popular commercial for Little Baby's Ice Cream. It featured a man made of ice cream digging a spoon into his head and eating his delicious body. The man's head is edited to look like he's been at it for a while. He stares at the camera intently as a voiceover seriously explains how happy he is to eat his ice cream. This commercial is incredibly disturbing for a lot of people, but when I was younger, I liked it for that reason. Turns out it was actually marshmallow fluff that the guy was covered in. This is a classic. Child's Play. Child's Play is the film series that Chucky is from. I remember being terrified of Chucky when I was younger. The concept of a my buddy gone evil that you can't kill really freaked me out. Ghost in Japan. This is a creepy video interviewing a guy who supposedly witnessed a creepy ghost. The most infamous scene in this video is of the ghost girl getting hit by a subway. When I was little, I actually thought this was real and, well, it messed me up for a few days. Red Mist. This is a classic, and I'd be surprised if you haven't heard about it. Red Mist, otherwise known as Squidward's Nevasu, is probably one of the most famous lost episode creepypastas of all time. This story is about an intern at Nickelodeon who watches an evil episode of SpongeBob where Squidward gets depressed and they're net kids, blah blah blah. It's not very well written, but one of the main reasons it's popular is because of this picture. Yeah, I'll admit, it is pretty creepy and looks pretty legit. In fact, this story is so big that it even had a reference in a modern episode of SpongeBob. Later, this reference was unfortunately censored for obvious reasons. SCPs. SCPs are fictional monsters created by internet users. Some of them are friendly, while others are scary and really disturbing. The backstories are very creepypasta-like and very creepy. My personal favorite SCP is either the iPods or the Pet Rocks. The SCP stories are basically presented as entries made by people working with the SCPs, which makes the stories more realistic, therefore more creepy. Dirt Girl World. This was a show intended for preschoolers. The animation is basically the same idea behind the annoying orange, but instead of static fruits, it's these animated bodies. I mean, really, what were they thinking? Amber Alerts and Weather Alerts. Oh boy, this one still freaks me out to this day. The sound of an Amber Alert is something that's both jarring and alerting, as it's meant to be. What scares me the most about it is the unknown. Before you pull out your phone and see why the alarm's going off, it really could be anything. A bombing, meteor shower, military attack, etc. Obviously it isn't that, but the alarm is just straight up scary. Gary Takes a Bath Girl. Here, just check this out.
I am now going to assault your mind with subliminal messages. Sorry you had to see that.
Squidward's Nevasu is actually kind of a knockoff of Red Mist. It's basically the same idea, but it's a different story and kind of took the fame of it. And, well, yeah, I'm not going to talk much about it because I don't think YouTube likes it so much. Steven Gets Covered in Cats. This entry is referring to a scene in Steven Universe where Steven starts to turn into cats. His body parts transform into weird, squishy cat things, and it's just pretty weird. Obey the Walrus. This video is another case of people finding it either creepy or funny or kind of neither. The video starts off with Andros from Star Fox singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider in Spanish. It then starts to speed up and play backwards, and then it shows footage of a person tap dancing. The person in the video had polio as a kid, so her body movements are very uncanny. The music in the video, alongside the footage, makes it really uncomfortable to watch for some. Some say the video is made by a cult that obeys walruses, which is, not true, but it's kind of fun. Scare Theater has a really good video explaining it. Peter's head explodes. As a Peter Griffin appreciator, I was really happy to see this on the Iceberg. I'm pretty sure this entry is referring to the scene where Peter takes a big bite of a fudgesicle. His head proceeds to explode. Vincent's laugh in Thriller. This is referring to Vincent Price's iconic laugh at the end of Thriller. I can see how a younger kid could be freaked out by this. Dora No More. Oh man, I tried to forget about this, and you know what? I did, until I saw the entry on this Iceberg. Dora No More is a creepy video made by the Stringini Bros. It showed Dora dying in a bunch of horrible, disturbing ways while the singer describes them. Honestly, it seems like the writer of this Iceberg had the exact same childhood as I did. It's insane. Freak Fred. I'm pretty sure this is referring to Freaky Fred from Courage the Cowardly Dog. This character is a demented barber obsessed with cutting excessive amounts of hair. His overall voice, theme song, and appearance are incredibly creepy, and honestly, I'm really surprised at what they could put into that show. Salad Fingers. Salad Fingers was a web series created by David Firth. The series was really creepy and disturbing. I'm not sure why, but lots of kids decided to watch at least the first of these videos, including me. It's a really good web series if you like that kind of thing. Bobek. This is a video displaying one of those old flash animations from Duty.com. A guy sits on a toilet, his head explodes, and yeah, that's what it is. Snow White in the Haunted Forest. This entry is referring to a scene in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Said forest looks normal, but then turns out to be scary with faces and hands and all that stuff. Definitely something that would be creepy as a kid. Blank-Eyed Girls in Adventure Time. This is an episode of Adventure Time in which Finn and Jake hear a radio show talking about blank-eyed girls. Jake thinks it's BS while Finn believes it. Turns out they end up encountering one of the girls and more arrive. Creepy stuff. Deep Waters. Gygus. Gygus is the main antagonist of Earthbound. Gygus is an evil alien who, upon failing his original mission to reclaim the knowledge of PSI from humans, intends to sentence all of reality to the horror of infinite darkness. This creature straight up just has a really unnerving appearance and definitely creeped me out back in the day. Tails, this is referring to an infamous Sonic the Hedgehog webcomic, but I don't think I should describe it here. I don't think anyone wants to hear about it. Kraina Gryzbau TV. This is a Polish YouTube ARG channel. The imagery is weird and creepy, and there's a whole story behind the weird imagery. I know I would be terrified if I happened to click on one of those videos when I was a little kid. Sharptooth. This entry is referring to the T-Rex in Land Before Time. He's scary and attacks the main characters. Seeing this movie as a little kid in love with dinosaurs is a great source of childhood trauma. Rubber Johnny. Rubber Johnny is a weird little alien creature from a music video made by Chris Cunningham and Aphex Twin. The special effects on Johnny are actually really good, and the way he moves is just full-on Uncanny Valley. His voice is weird, and just the whole thing is uncomfortable and creepy. Yume Nikki. Yume Nikki is a Japanese horror RPG. The game is really creepy and has an amazing soundtrack, which you've actually heard in part 1 and 2 of these Iceberg videos. The imagery in this game is really creepy, and I'm glad I never played it or watched playthroughs of it when I was younger. Creepy tape found in Croatia. This is a YouTube video with a description stating that the footage was released by the police. The teens in the video have been missing since. It starts off with kids just messing around until they see a man standing in the dark. They then approach and encounter the man. He's hunched over and has a creepy mask on. He then starts to approach the boys and they run away. The creepy man finds the boys again, so they run. The boys decide to go to what looks like their school. They open the elevator and see the creepy man inside. It immediately cuts off. I personally think this video is fake and reminds me a lot of that old Polybius Found video. It's still very creepy. The Sneeze, How Germs Are Spread. This is an old CGI educational video showing how germs are spread. Nowadays, the outdated animation is oddly nostalgic, but I can see being scared of this as a kid. You know, seeing how easy it is for germs to spread and all that. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is an iconic horror book series for kids. The illustrations are to this day very scary. I never read any of the stories since the imagery of that clown made me want to stay as far away as possible from them. I've heard that the stories aren't necessarily the scariest nowadays, but are still remembered as terrifying. Wonka's Boat Ride. This is referring to that classic scene from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. After Augustus Gloop falls into the chocolate river, Willy Wonka pulls up a big pink boat made of candy. It proceeds to go into a dark tunnel. Willy Wonka creepily recites a dark poem while scary imagery is shown on the walls of the tunnel. Most notably, a chicken's head getting cut off. This scene is just a whole mix of scary stuff, and honestly, it's a little bit baffling as to how it got into this movie. Pencil Face. Pencil Face is referring to a short film made by Scad Shorts. It features a little girl finding a giant magic pencil with a creepy face. She draws multiple things that become real, kind of like that SpongeBob episode. Eventually, she draws a spiral which creates a black hole thing. The pencil continues to have that creepy smile on its face when she is sucked into it. Tiny the T-Rex. This entry is referring to a scene in the Disney movie Meet the Robinsons, where the villain goes back in time to steal a T-Rex. The T-Rex almost eats the main character and proceeds to get pizza dough shot at it. I think this is on the list because it's just generally a scary scene for little kids. Mr. Krabs' Bloodlust. This entry is referring to an old YouTube poop portraying Mr. Krabs intentionally killing the health inspector from that one episode with the nasty patty. Creepy imagery is shown, he goes to jail, kills the guards and proceeds to kill Squidward. He then tries to kill SpongeBob, but SpongeBob uses a bomb to take them both out. It's kind of funny nowadays, but I can totally see being scared by it as a kid. Dairy Queen Monster Ad. Check this out. It's kind of awesome, right? The effects are really good for what they are, and it's pretty cool. Honestly, it's pretty creepy, but I personally like it, although I could totally see it being really scary as a kid. NX_VCJZMQ9W. Apparently this video is from the Adventure Time episode, A Glitch is a Glitch, and honestly, it made me pretty uncomfortable. Imagine being just an innocent kid watching Adventure Time and then you see this. Happy Meal. This is referring to an old video featuring a man in a suit being chased by an evil monster version of Ronald McDonald. He gets attacked and tries to shoot the evil clown. The bullets do nothing and he gets eaten. The video is watched by many unsuspecting kids, and the video was recommended a lot when I was watching videos of McDonald's toy reviews. I remember seeing the thumbnail and being scared to misclick on the video. Scrooge puppets from Polar Express. This is referring to that scene in the Polar Express where those kids went into a room full of puppets. A creepy Scrooge puppet starts being operated by some weird man on the top of the train. I remember the scene always made me uncomfortable when I was younger. Billy the Puppet. I'm pretty sure this is referring to Billy Jigsaw from the Saw movies. Saw movies are totally scary, and the puppet who causes all the torture is also very scary. Kuyang Duyan. This is referring to an old YouTube video. Yeah. Apparently, it's showing an Indonesian legend known as a kuyang. The video is really uncomfortable to watch. Luckily, this is actually just footage of an Indonesian fortune teller who has quote-unquote the body of a fox. The low quality of the video just makes it somewhat believable. Spooky Buddies. This is referring to the movie Spooky Buddies, which is part of the Air Buddies series. I'm assuming there was some spooky Halloween stuff in this film that scared kids when they were younger. You're Not Perfect. This is referring to this incredible scene from Courage the Cowardly Dog. It shows this weird CGI trumpet fetus thing that whispers, "You're not perfect." Yeah, pretty creepy. WP KepKW. WP KepKW is a mysterious YouTube video showing a blurred out, deformed looking face with creepy music in the background. Apparently, this video is cursed or something. There's a lot of debate as to who the blurred out person is. Some people think it's Rick Astley, others think it's Hitler, and some people think it's Michael Rosen. Either way, it's pretty creepy. Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 might not seem creepy, but some people who've already played the game feel a sense of dread and loneliness from it. Mario is kind of the only friendly character in these desolate worlds filled up with enemies. There are a bunch of things in the game that are just straight up creepy, like the eel in Dire Dire Docks, the evil piano in the Haunted Mansion, and of course, Wet Dry World. If you haven't played Mario 64, then I would highly recommend it since it's one of the best games, well, ever made. Popsicle by Twisted Grim. I'm glad this video is on the Iceberg. I'm just gonna play it for you. I remember seeing that when I was like 9 and being freaked out by it and just trying to forget it, but nowadays I think the video is hilarious and I'm glad it's here. For whatever reason, this awakened a lot of nostalgia in me and I'm not really sure why. Fallen Angel in Catalonia. This entry is referring to an old YouTube video of 2 Spanish men walking around in the woods until they find this thing. Yeah, I remember being super scared by this. Some people thought it was proof of the rake, but it's probably just a drug addict or fake. Point of no return. Real Demons Caught on Tape. Real Demons Caught on Tape is a classic YouTube video portraying a man being attacked by demons. The video itself is short but gets everything it needs to down. The man recording flees to his bedroom and sees a bunch of hands coming out of the ceiling and walls. Small arms start to come from under his door, and eventually a humanoid creature made out of hands appears. This video is really creepy, and the special effects are amazing. Many kids thought this was real, and for good reason. As one of the comments reads, this looks like a scene out of a high-budget horror movie that never got finished, and yeah, it definitely does. Evil Barney. This entry is referring to a weird sub-series of YouTube videos portraying Barney to be evil. I have no idea why, but people are obsessed with making evil Barney videos in a bunch of different formats. One of the more popular types of these videos is basically slideshows with pictures of evil Barney with MS Paint drawings on it. In these videos, creepy music would play as it showed Barney being evil. There are also videos playing the Barney theme in reverse, while text would display the supposedly hidden messages in the song. Yeah, it's hilarious nowadays, but back then I personally found this stuff scary. But I can't watch any of these videos without going into a fit of laughter nowadays. Squidward eats SpongeBob alive. This entry is referring to this image that was spread around the internet. I'm pretty sure I either saw it on Roblox or YouTube, but regardless, the image was pretty disturbing back in the day. Harry Pothead. Harry Pothead is most likely referring to this old Newgrounds Flash game. In it, Harry Potter smokes a bunch of different things. Eventually, he smokes a pistol and shoots himself. Yeah, pretty disturbing. This game was actually made by Tom Fulp, the creator of Newgrounds. Realistic Mario asking if you want to get scared out of your mind. This entry is referring to this video.
Want to get scared out of your mind?
I remember seeing this picture of Mario back in the day, and it always just made me uncomfortable. As a huge Mario fan at the time, seeing a weird version of him was always just, well, weird. Pinkie Pie loses her mind. This entry is referring to a scene in My Little Pony where Pinkie Pie thinks that nobody cares about her party, so she starts getting depressed and going crazy. There's one iconic scene where her eyes go to the side and she makes a psychotic smile. Everything around her, these inanimate objects, start to move and start talking. Yeah, not something you'd really expect from My Little Pony. Jackass Transformation. This is referring to that infamous scene from Pinocchio where the bad kids start to turn into donkeys. When I was younger, I really never wanted to watch this part of the movie since it was always very disturbing. Kool-Aid Killer. This is a classic Dane Bow video. It's in the format of a trailer for a horror movie. The Kool-Aid Man effect is like that of the annoying orange, which makes him look really creepy. It shows the Kool-Aid Man killing people, and of course the effects are cheesy, but I remember being pretty scared by this when I was younger. It's a great video, and I'd highly recommend checking it out. Racist Mario. Whew. Racist Mario is a YouTube animation that most people watching this have probably seen. It's a video portraying Mario going through a racist, murderous rage while in a game of Mario Kart. I don't think YouTube would like it if I described the events in this video, but it's definitely very scary given all the blood and screaming and violence. Who's Hungry? Who's Hungry is referring to an old YouTube animation displaying a story similar to Hansel and Gretel. In this animation, two kids are abducted by an ice cream man. Turns out the ice cream man makes ice cream out of kids. The little girl stabs him with a crowbar, seemingly killing him. The girl saves the boy only for the ice cream man to come back to life. Fortunately, he slips and falls into a blender. The girl then activates the blender, killing him. This animation is really good, but very scary. And I'm actually just remembering this now that I'm pretty sure I actually watched this video back in the day. Like, while I was writing the script for this, I didn't watch it. I thought I was seeing it for the first time, but I actually think I remember this, which just makes it that much creepier. Bunchy the Green Llama. If you were on the internet during the late 2000s/early 2010s, you'll probably remember this guy. I always liked him, but I can see how some kids found him scary. Deke logo. This is referring to the iconic logo for the animation studio Deke. I'm guessing it's on here because some kids might have found the giant text coming from the sky scary. Pingu's Nightmare. This is referring to that classic scene in Pingu, where Pingu goes to sleep and has a nightmare with a giant creepy seal. Yeah, it's pretty creepy, and I didn't like it as a kid. Dexter's Lab's Sore Eyes. This is an incredibly weird scene from Dexter's Lab, and yeah, it's pretty creepy. Not much more than that. Men in Black Monsters. This entry is pretty self-explanatory. This is simply referring to the more creepy monsters in the Men in Black movies. Dolphin Muzzle. Dolphin Muzzle is a YouTube video showing off a weirdly realistic-looking dolphin costume. The video is uploaded by North Fur, who sells plastic animal faces for costumes and furries and stuff. Yeah, I don't like it looking at this thing either. Let's just move on. Rigby's Fear. This entry is referring to an episode of Regular Show where Mordecai and Rigby watch an old horror movie about a haunted taxi. The imagery of the horror movie could be totally scary to younger kids, the way it eats people and spits out their bones. Later, Rigby has a bunch of nightmares about the movie, which are pretty creepy. I could totally see myself being scared by this when I was younger. Valve Intro. I remember whenever I opened up TF2 or Gary's Mod, I always felt pretty uncomfortable looking at this guy, which I assume other people did as well. I mean, just look at the guy. I mean, imagine just having that thing in your head. Yeah, pretty uncomfortable. General Scar suffocates in space and dies. This entry is referring to a scene from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. The episode seems to be a monkey's paw sort of plot. The character General Scar gets tempted to be the ruler of the world by this wishbone, a skull that would tempt people to use it and, well, mess things up according to their wishes. General Scar gets a statue of himself erected under him. The statue continues to rise up until it reaches the upper atmosphere. General Scar then brutally suffocates in space in a very disturbing way. Yeah, I don't know how this made it on Cartoon Network. Junji Ito Manga. Junji Ito is a manga artist who makes really scary and disturbing art. His art is beloved to this day because of its incredibly creepy subject matter. Honestly, yeah, this stuff is really scary to this day. Klasky Chupo. Klasky Chupo was the animation studio behind many iconic shows in the 90s, including the Rugrats. This was their logo. I personally thought it was cool as a little kid, but I can see how this could be creepy. Bong Ching Dong Ghost. This is referring to a viral horror webcomic. It's most notable for this scene. It was played by many popular YouTubers at the time, and I remember it freaking me out. Raka Raka's Ronald McDonald Videos. Oh man, this one hits close to home. This entry is referring to a series of videos made by the YouTube channel Raka Raka, showing Ronald McDonald being incredibly violent and brutal. Nowadays, the videos don't really have the same shock value that they used to. But at the time, these videos made me really, really uncomfortable and disturbed. And many others. A way I used to get rid of the stress from watching these videos is I'd write Raka Raka on a piece of paper, and I'd tape it to an open door and then shoot it with a Nerf gun. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Raka Raka, if you couldn't tell. Peppermint Park. Peppermint Park was an old puppet show that many people find incredibly disturbing, and yeah, It's creepy. I know that if I saw this on TV as a little kid, I would not like it. The show is the butt of the joke in many YouTube videos for its scary look. Lost media. This subject is pretty broad, but I can totally relate to it. It could be anything from A Day with SpongeBob to Crybaby Lane or that freaky Flicker movie or whatever it was called. I was very interested in lost media, and, well, I would get freaked out by it at times. It's a really cool subject that I don't think should go anywhere, as lots of cool stuff is discovered from the community around it. The Dark Depths. Iggy35. Iggy35 is a YouTube channel that specifies in making creepy videos with special effects and puppets. Obviously, any of these can be scary when you see them as a kid. Bloody Door. Bloody Door is referring to an old YouTube video portraying a bloody door. Said bloody door opens to reveal a man with a stroller. He puts his hands into the stroller and pulls out blood and then starts to spread blood all over his face. There's tense and stressful music that's played through the entire thing, and it's just pretty scary. The man then vanishes and the door closes. Just when you think the video's over, you get jump scared. Apparently there was some sort of thing about how if you watched this video, you'd get killed or something, and it was popularized by Rhett and Link doing a reaction to it. Clerds. I don't like this video. Clerds is a weird, furry animation thing with annoying music, repetitive animation, and a bunch of sexual furry images flashing on screen. The video has a significant dislike to like ratio, and yeah, I hate it too. Malio. Malio is the Mario equivalent to Ouija, who I discussed in the first part. He was portrayed as doing some creepy things back in the YouTube poop days, but I'm not really sure why he's this far down on the list. Katie's Scary Face. Here, I'll just play the video. Yeah, I think you know why it's on the list. Creepy chin faces. This is referring to those videos of people drawing eyes on their chins and doing weird stuff with said chin faces. I always thought they were funny, but I can see how people could find them creepy. Amy Gets Possessed. This entry is referring to a scene in the show Sonic X where Amy Rose gets possessed by ghosts and goes against the protagonist. I can see this being creepy mostly because of the ways her eyes change. Drag Me to Hell. Christine Brown is on her way to having it all. A devoted boyfriend, a hard-earned job promotion, and a bright future. But when it comes to make a tough decision that evicts an elderly woman from her house, Christine becomes the victim of an evil curse. Now she only has 3 days to dissuade a dark spirit from stealing her soul before she is dragged to hell for an eternity of unthinkable torment. Reads the description of this movie. Of course a bunch of creepy stuff happens and it's very scary. Evil Elmo. This could be referring to a number of videos portraying Elmo being evil or the infamous malfunctioning Elmo doll who made death threats towards a kid. The video by the name of The Story of Email... I love this. This video by the name of The Story of Evil Elmo is hilarious by today's standards, but terrifying in 2008. I honestly... You gotta watch The Story of Evil Elmo, it's so good. Nightmare Wolf. This entry is referring to a YouTube animation released in 2014 by Tony Cry Knight. It's a pretty creepy animation portraying a wolf running through the woods as creepy things flash on screen. Eventually, another wolf is found. Said wolf turns its neck around, twisting it, and has a creepy face. Yeah, I'm glad I never saw this when I was younger. The House 1 and 2. These were point-and-click horror games, and yeah, well, they're creepy. Sad Satan. Sad Satan is an incredibly mysterious story about a supposed horror game from the deep web that includes incredibly disturbing and illegal content in it. There are a bunch of videos covering this, and they do a way better job explaining it than I can. The footage of the game itself isn't the creepiest, but it's really the story around it that's what's scary. Vicious 5/16 creepypastas. Vicious516 was a YouTuber who made a whole variety of videos including creepypastas, and creepypastas are scary. The original Lights Out short film. This entry is referring to the classic short film Lights Out. You probably recognize the trope of having the lights off and seeing something only for it to disappear when you turn the lights back on. And yeah, this is it. I remember being really scared by the concept of this, and I think I actually first saw it in a My Little Pony animation, but I'm not completely sure. Still very scary. Max's Nightmare. This is referring to the opening scene from a Goofy movie. The scary part is where Max, the son of Goofy, transforms into his father, Goofy, in a weirdly disturbing way. Monster House. Monster House is a classic kids horror movie using motion capture CGI. I had known about it for a while, but I only saw it in October of 2020, and well, while I was watching the movie, I was thinking, how is this for kids? Everything down to the way the characters move is creepy, and there are some things that are straight up scary, like the wife's dead body controlling the house and the way that the house eats people. It's a good movie, and I would recommend it if you haven't seen it. Scooby-Doo Zombie Island. This one is pretty self-explanatory. There are zombies and creepy stuff in this Scooby-Doo special. Bart the General. Bart the General is either referring to the classic Simpsons Season 1 episode of the strange YouTube video of an Australian man named Toadfish moving into Springfield. The video is incredibly bizarre and ends with Marge cheating on Homer with Toadfish. This could also be referring to the scene in the actual episode Bart the General, where Bart imagines his funeral. This footage is often used in fan-made depiction of the creepypasta Dead Bart. SpongeBob is Evil. Oh, I love this one. SpongeBob is a classic YouTube video portraying an evil SpongeBob piñata. The acting is super cheesy, the editing is super dated, and it's just perfect. The video is fantastic, and I would highly recommend you watch it. I found it a bit scary when I was younger, but now it's just the perfect video. Omegle. This one is pretty broad, but also pretty self-explanatory if you know anything about Omegle. But if you don't, Omegle is a website where you and a random stranger talk to each other using your webcams. Sounds fine, right? Well, it's not. Unfortunately, people often stream disturbing and inappropriate things to Omegle. Most of the time it'll be men exposing themselves or something showing a violent crime. Thing is, it used to be trendy to go on Omegle and look for fans as a YouTuber. Lots of YouTubers have small children in their audience. Said children would go on Omegle in hopes of seeing their favorite YouTuber, only to see disturbing things that no kid should see. Lots of kids did this, and that's why it's on the list. Ghostscape. Ghostscape is a creepy point-and-click horror game. It's creepy, and that's why it's here. Old YouTube Arabic videos. This is referring to a plethora of old Arabic YouTube videos. These videos often have loud, foreign music and lots of text flashing through the screen. This genre of YouTube video is often parodied nowadays for its bizarre content and confusing, unnerving visuals. The video on screen now is one of the classic ones that was more popular. Yeah, I always felt like I shouldn't be watching these videos whenever they came up. Smosh Found Dead. This is referring to an old Smosh video where the Smosh guys find a flyer on their doorstep for a weird restaurant. They decide to go to it and are greeted by a creepy man. There are only two things on the menu, a hamburger and a mushroom pie. They get the mushroom pie. Their waiter is the same man, and so is the chef. They answer some questions from Twitter until they see one from the owner of the restaurant saying that he has locked the doors and that he will kill them. They call the police, but the police officer that arrives is the same guy that plays all the characters in the restaurant. They black out and the camera goes to black. The camera comes back on, showing the man in Ian and Anthony's clothes, pretending to be them. It then shows Anthony dead, shirtless, and the man moving his mouth as if he's talking. The video has a very comedic tone, but clearly lots of younger fans of Smosh thought it was real, or at the very least found it very disturbing. Jackety Goust. This entry is referring to a video of a boy with some sort of facial deformation jumping up and yelling into the camera with a bunch of different effects and music playing over it. I can see how this could be kind of creepy, but in all honesty, I just feel bad for the boy. Update on this actually. This is actually Justin Simbidis. He still has a channel nowadays. It's by the same name. And basically, he does Funko Pop videos, reactions to music, some interviews and stuff. It's good stuff. He suffers from progeria, which is an extremely rare progressive genetic disorder that causes children to age rapidly starting in their first 2 years of life. Children with progeria generally appear normal at birth, and not many survive it. But he's still going strong. He's got his YouTube channel, he's got a Twitter. I would suggest checking him out. His videos are pretty good. Elmo eats a baby. This is referring to this animation. It was on the Iceberg a little earlier, so yeah, if you saw that video, you know it. It's this animation. Zom. This entry is referring to an old zombie apocalypse animation. The animation itself is pretty good. The most disturbing scene in this animation is probably the one where all the innocent civilians are standing at a gate being blocked from entering, only for a bunch of zombies to tear them apart. Run the Gauntlet. This entry is referring to a shock website that displays incredibly disturbing footage of real-life events. There are around 20 levels in this, and each one gets worse and worse. Do not research this. I've warned you. Everything on this website will mess up your mind no matter what age you are. Do not research this under any circumstances. LiveLeak. LiveLeak is another website, kinda like YouTube, but with no rules. There are incredibly disturbing things on this website, including footage of real-life violent crimes. This website should not be visited by anyone. Japanese McDonald's ads. This is a really bizarre series of commercials that aired in Japan that portrayed Ronald McDonald as a psycho stalker. There's a video on YouTube compiling said commercials. I remember seeing them and having my view on Ronald McDonald shaken. Honestly, what were they thinking? Yelling Creature. Well, this is it. The final entry on the Iceberg. Yelling Creature is a YouTube video created by Rob Herman. I'm gonna have you watch the video. Just check it out. Thoughts? I personally love it. I can see how many people can find it creepy, but I just love it. Everything down to the background, the weird clay body of the creature, and the annoying orange style face, and of course, the sound it makes is just incredible. There are actually some sequels to this video that not many people know about. We have Yelling Creature Santa. And Yelling Pumpkin. So I guess it's kind of a seasonal thing. It's honestly so good. I love it. So, that's it. The entire Gen Z childhood trauma iceberg fully explained. I put lots and lots and lots of work into these videos, and I'm sure has paid off. And to all my new viewers, I want to genuinely thank you. The reception these videos have gotten is just incredible and makes me very, very happy. Of course, huge thanks to Guff for both this iceberg and the collaboration in these videos. He was really great to work with, and whenever I had a question about one of the entries, he was always there to answer it. I hope you guys stick around for my other stuff, and you will probably see some other iceberg videos in the future. I hope these videos didn't unearth too many traumatic memories, although I doubt that's the case. Thank you all for watching, and, well, have a good one.